Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, and here on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. It feels like a long time no see, right? Like when was the last time I made a video in this format? I have good reasoning. Just hear me out. But before we get into it, I want to say thank you to my patrons. This channel would not be here without you. I would not be making this video right now without you. So I really appreciate you. And just a little reminder that this upcoming Saturday is our new moon reality benders party for those of us on Patreon. We do a little meetup once a month around the new moon so that we can set intention, talk about our blocks, and talk about how to evolve and transcend those very blocks. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description box. So you may have noticed that I've been spending a lot less time on YouTube lately, and I've been doing more live streams versus making these pre-recorded videos. But the reason why I haven't been online as much as I used to be is because I'm at a place in my life where I realize I have to transition into living in the real world. The internet has always been a crutch for me, especially having social anxiety. And I lived a lot of my life online ever since I was young, ever since I was a teenager on Tumblr and DeviantArt. If you know, you know. But that being said, so much healing has taken place in the past few years, and I'm realizing that I've evolved past the fears that told me that I couldn't be normal and in a community with people. And I'm realizing how good community feels and how nice it feels to be surrounded by people who see you and gravitating towards people who align with your vibration. I'm now teaching at a yoga studio again, and I found a church that I love. So these two communities really take up a lot of my time, and there's a big learning curve there for me because I've never really been in communities before. So that's what I'm spending the majority of my time doing. And I know if anyone understands it to you guys, because I know a lot of you guys who watch my content also have had the same struggles as me. So I know you get it. I know you understand. But when I was thinking about this, I realized that I navigate my growth by using fear. I joined a church because I was terrified to join a church. I started teaching yoga, not because I was scared to start teaching yoga again, but because my schedule was very tight, and I knew that if I started teaching yoga again, I would have to step away from YouTube or, take a couple steps back from YouTube. And that's what really terrified me, because YouTube is a source of my income. And when I realized how much it terrified me, I was like, well, that means I have to do it. And I heard that little voice in my head that was like, we have to push through the fear. And I was like, when did I become this person? When did I become this person that has the ability to say, I'm scared, let's do it? Because I have not always been like this. I used to let my fear control me, my words, my actions, and my thoughts. And now I'm a person who is motivated by fear. So how did this happen? As it turns out, fear is the very thing that can tell you how to get to your next level in life. All the things that you fear are actually answers to everything that you want to achieve and attract into your reality. So I'm gonna get a little more into it. The journey from one reality to another is illuminated by your fears. As we often say on this channel, the manifestation process, the process of creating a life that you love, is a journey. It's not an overnight, one step fits all type of thing. It is a process of unlearning limiting beliefs and unlearning all of the fears that you have downloaded over the course of your life, so that you can access the freedom that is required to live the reality that you want. Even talking about law of attraction for a moment, we know that in order to have our lives feel a specific way, we must understand the vibration of how we want it to feel. We cannot say, I want to feel free, and then expect freedom. We must learn what it feels like to be free within our current circumstances, so that we can better recognize the energy of freedom, making us better magnets to that very vibration. So all this being said, when you look at your life and where you are now, point A, and you think about how to get to your destination, it's so important that you understand what fears come up when you think, this is the life that I desire for myself. Because if you're not already living that life, that means that One, you don't know how to get it, because if you did, you would do the things, right? Two, there are subconscious beliefs that are telling you that it will either be hard, scary, or impossible. And by going on your journey, you're not going to necessarily overcome fears and overcome doubts and overcome limiting beliefs. The point is to not overcome the fear. The point is to teach your body that you are capable of experiencing the fear, thus expanding internally, making you more of a person who can handle whatever you're looking to pull into your reality. I think money is always a great example for this, because a lot of us, we want to manifest large sums of money, but with large sums of money comes a really large responsibility, and a big block for a lot of people isn't necessarily the ability to manifest money, but it's the ability to have a lot of money and not be scared of the responsibility of having so much, which is why so many of us, we're good at attracting, but we're not good at maintaining, because subconsciously there's a doubt that we can handle maintaining. It's about internal expansion, expanding our internal perception of self. Whatever you're afraid of is directly associated with your past experiences. I have been all about anime lately, my whole life really, but not really hardcore watching it as much as I have been the past few months. And one thing I will tell you, the same theme that you see in all anime is like this dismantling of fear programming. Like every episode of every saga is about a fear that was created in the main character's childhood that is reappearing in adulthood, and how to dismantle that fear so that that person can evolve in their journey. And that's truly what the quality of a good life is about. It's not becoming fearless. It's not about becoming numb to fear. It's about understanding that you have the ability to feel fear and still function, that you are stronger than the fear that you are experiencing. That's the thing about the body. Any fear that we have is a past experience. It's something that we've already experienced. So we can't just rip that experience out of our body and throw it away. It's more about understanding that that fear is within us, accepting it, validating it, and choosing to allow ourselves to be a home for that fear. But that fear does not run the show. That fear is not going to be the determining factor in our lives and in the choices that we make. It's also to understand that subconsciously we avoid any situations that we fear. So if there is something that you desire, but you have limiting beliefs that make you fear your very desire, you can say affirmations, you can visualize all you want, but if you have subconscious fears that say, this is scary, I can't do this, it's going to encourage you. That fear will encourage you to make choices and to do things that actually keep you away from your desire, because you don't believe that that desire is safe, even though consciously you want it. This is self-limitation. We can keep the money example. So let's say that a person is very good at attracting money, but they're not very good at maintaining it. They attract, they spend, they attract, they spend. A step towards becoming a person who has a ton of money is creating a savings account, creating an investment account, buying a book on finance. Those are three things, three steps that that person can take to become more responsible with money. But to that person, the thought of going to a bank and starting a savings account, or the thought of starting an investment account, can literally bring up fear in that person's body. And that fear, it can expose itself in so many ways. For example, if they say, I'm going to start an investment account, on their way to the bank, they could start to think, well, how do I know that the person I find will be trustworthy with my money? How do I know that they will know what they're talking about? Right? Like all of these different distracting thoughts, distractions from the journey, because the point of the journey is to make this investment account so that we can invest and grow, right? So all these little fearful thoughts coming up are distractions from the path. That's why it's so important that when you decide to do something for your path, for your journey, for your betterment, when you decide to do it, that's when you really have to root yourself into your awareness and see what your subconscious says isn't safe. Because a lot of times what your subconscious is saying isn't safe is from a younger version of yourself, a version of yourself that may feel less stable in their reality, a version of themselves that may be in a mental place that feels like everything is against them and the world is going to crumble. But today, here, now, you know that you are supported, and that all your steps are supported, and that you maintain an internal vibration rooted in peace and in love and in all good things, prosperity and abundance. You know this about yourself. So those old remnants of fear in your thoughts that come up, like I said, they're a past version of you, but you don't have to claim them as the way you currently think. And that, again, that comes through recognizing the fear in your thoughts as they come up through awareness. Now, the cool thing about raising your vibration as you go through life is that raising your vibration isn't always about focusing on your past and how to heal your trauma. That's a big part of it, so that you can like maintain space within yourself to hold the good. But sometimes raising your vibration is learning how to hold the feeling of feeling good, feeling peaceful, feeling at ease, breathing. Let's breathe a little bit. Inhale, exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. Once more. Inhale, exhale. Yeah, maintaining the feeling of space within yourself, right? And the more you breathe, the more you feel comfortable with this feeling of ease within yourself, the more your vibration naturally goes up, because that ease in your body is your body's natural state. A lot of raising your, all of raising your vibration is unlearning everything that physical reality has taught you about your experience, that life is hard, that no one loves you, that good things are rare. All the things that your physical experience taught you are to be unlearned through the process of raising your vibration. And when you do this, you will find that even though you might be struggling with trauma, even though you may still be struggling with disassociation and intrusive thoughts, you will find that your physical reality is still becoming a reflection of that work you're doing through the breath. So here is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. I hope you hear me. You can still have humongous trauma wounds and raise your vibration. That's the beautiful thing about life. That's the beautiful thing about God. We never have to be perfect in order to be worthy of the good, right? So that's wonderful. So you can still be suffering from your traumatic thoughts and your tendencies created through trauma and still raise your vibration. But where the evolution continues to come from is when you allow yourself to practice the breath, practice feeling at ease and connected to this reality in a positive way, gratitude and all that fun stuff. When you do that and you start to attract experiences that align with that gratitude, that align with that ease, then it is about understanding the balance between all this new goodness that you're attracting versus the heaviness and the darkness of your wounds. How do I do that? You do that by observing what comes into your life, the good that comes into your life, and what quality of fear comes up when you attract this goodness. Not telling you to dismantle the fear, not telling you to get rid of the fear, not telling you to psychoanalyze yourself. I'm just telling you to observe and say, this happened and I'm afraid. For example, that person who is good at attracting money but spends every dime. That person they might get a job where the job says, hey, we're going to give you $40,000 in stock. And if you don't touch it, that stock will double by XYZ. They can choose to let the stock remain where it is and let it grow. That's a choice, a conscious choice that they need to make. And in that moment, when their palms start itching and they say, okay, I want to just take the money out and spend it, in that moment, that's an opportunity to say, okay, so what do I think is going to happen if I don't take the money out? Because that's like looking under the rock of the experience. So often we take experiences at face value, forgetting how long we've been alive. Like even me personally, I've been alive for 30 years. So every choice I make, there are surface level reasons for that choice. But when we look under the rock of our decision, we're really able to understand why we made the choice and how this choice, the choice that we made, is aligned with past versions of ourselves. Because that's the whole thing about quantum leaping and creating the reality that you desire. Creating that reality means committing to becoming a newer version of yourself, a version of yourself that was always possible, a version of yourself that has always been a possible reality. But doing this work means that you are more dedicated to this new reality versus the comfort of the old reality. Pay attention to the action that your reality requires, your desired reality requires. If you know that there is something you need to do to bring your reality, desired reality, closer to you, but you seem frozen, like you can't move, like you can't perform whatever action that it takes, dedicate all that energy, instead of forcing it, dedicate all that energy to just understanding, why is this so hard for me? Because through that internal emotional work, you can better understand yourself. And when you better understand yourself, that is when you give yourself permission to back away from old habits, old behaviors, and old ways of thinking by simply understanding and validating your thoughts. And then if it feels good, you can take the action anyway, even though you're scared. And when we take action that terrifies us, that is ultimately what leads us into quantum shifts, quantum leaping, quantum stuff. Every time you quantum shift, your perspective of yourself changes immensely. And that is why so many people get into like the motivation side of YouTube, and they get so inspired and they make these really big leaps, these really big decisions. And then after those big leaps and decisions, they freak out because their reality looks different and there's not a lot to cling onto that feels familiar. So immediately after taking a big leap, that's why so many people kind of panic and then revert right back to who they used to be, because the big leap made life unfamiliar. But you're watching this video, so now you know the secret, you got the key. Every time you do something that scares you, it's going to bring you into a new reality. You know that now. You're prepared for that now. You're prepared for life to look different. And when you're in that new reality, you have a choice. Go back to the old reality or do something else that scares you. And when you get to that new reality, you have a choice. Go back to your old reality or do something new that scares you. That is life. And that's the way to live life, in my opinion, in a constant state of comfortable fear. Fear that doesn't necessarily make your nervous system go out of whack, but noticeable fear, like, oh, this is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because it's a little scary. But the more you get used to the sensation, the more you're able to understand that the feeling is just an indicator. It doesn't have to mean anything about you or your personality. It's just telling you how you feel. I see this a lot being a yoga teacher, with so many people thinking that you need to be flexible to do yoga. And it's so funny because I just tell them, you know, like, look up the yoga hashtag on Instagram, look up hashtags like practice and all is coming, or just hashtag yoga. And then instead of going to the popular tab, go to the most recent tab. Because when you go to the most recent tab, you're going to see things that everyday people without 200,000 followers post. You'll see like the realistic yoga practice. And that is one step, right? Looking up the yoga hashtag and seeing people who look like you practicing yoga. So now all of a sudden you are in a reality where yoga was impossible for you. Now you're in a reality where you see people like you doing it. That's a shift. Another shift could be, okay, you see people like you doing it. What if you just watched the class on YouTube? Like, you didn't try to do the class, you just watched it to get familiar with it. So now you're a person who said, I could never do yoga, to being a person who has watched a class. So you know how the sequence of a normal class goes. So now you're educated about it. After you watch that class, you can touch your shins every day. Practice touching your toes and touching your shins every day to increase your flexibility. You don't have to go to a yoga class to do this. You could just take 30 seconds out the day to practice and see what happens. So now you've gone from a person who believes they're too inflexible to ever do any yoga practice to being a person who touches their shins and touches their toes every day. And you also know what a normal yoga class flow is like. And you also know how other people who have your body type look doing yoga. That's a big mental change, right? And the person who has experienced all of this change that came through decisions, because it was that person's decision to do all those things that has shifted them into this new place, that person may be ready to say, I'm gonna do some research and find a yoga studio that aligns with what I liked about what I saw about the yoga practice. Because each time that person looked up someone who had their same body type, each time that person bent over to touch their toes or touch their shins, their mental perception of themselves expanded. And all of a sudden they could see themselves as someone with a healthy yoga practice. But that would not have been possible if that person just said, I can't have a yoga practice, it's not for me, and then never did anything. Because there was no action, there was nothing that happened in their reality that convinced their logical mind that they could be the person that they desired to be. It was conscious choices that that person may have even been afraid to make that allowed them to see a possible reality. And you guys know the law of attraction, we cannot manifest something that we do not believe is possible. It's not possible. In my opinion, that is why life is all about expanding, adjusting to that expansion, and then integrating that expansion. Expanding, adjusting to that expansion, then integrating that expansion. Expanding, so hiring somebody to do your taxes and help you with investment accounts, that's the expansion. Adjusting, which is like, I really hate having someone helping me and look at my money. I don't trust them, but I know this is right. So I'm going to just work on making my nervous system comfortable with this. Hey, sometimes the adjustment period takes me months. I'm gonna say that right now. Sometimes adjusting takes me a while. Okay, so expanding, adjusting, and then integrating. What integrating means is normalizing. Like, oh yeah, I have somebody who does my taxes and who does all my investment stuff, and they're great. I'll recommend them to somebody else. Integrating, making it a part of your natural life. That is how you shift realities. That is how you quantum leap. That is how you shift realities. That is how you quantum leap. It really is. So, yeah. And the thing is, I know that quantum leaping implies that it happens very fast, but what happens very fast is when you realize what you're afraid of and then you do what you are afraid of. But for a lot of us, the fear in our bodies can stop us from doing what we're afraid of, which is why I gave so many examples of smaller, tinier steps that we can take to get to the place where we're comfortable taking the actual step that's going to encourage our quantum leap. But hey, if you're good at holding fear in your body and it doesn't really affect you, like you have a yoga practice, you have a meditation practice, you have a breathwork practice, then if you're trying to make something happen, figure out what you want, figure out what you're supposed to be doing, like what is in your power to do to get what you want, see what part of that process you're afraid of, and then do that. That's how you quantum leap. But for the rest of us, it's not that easy. We can't just do it, but we're all different. We're all on our own journey. So yeah, that is all I have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it because I enjoyed making it. Thank you so much, patrons, for being subscribed to my channel and to being subscribed to my Patreon. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you at our new moon party. Also, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so other people on the internet know that it's valuable. Also, if you would like me to expand on anything that I talked about today, let me know down in the comments. And last but not least, please make sure that you're subscribed. Now you click that notification bell so you can be notified when I come out with a new video. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.